Hello, everyone. Waiting on my guests to arrive.
What's good with it?
We're live.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. See that?
We are live, people. Waiting on Chaz to hop in. Let's see. Where can we see?
So I put the flyer up and I tagged a few people, but I tagged pretty much just family though, because I want to turn my family on to your stuff.
Cool. So let's see. In the comments yet? Kevin, what up, though? So if you want to see I don't know if you want to see the comments, but at the bottom it says chat, and then it has live comments, so you can see the comments if you want to. And look what I can do.
Let me see. I'm looking at live comments.
Kevin in the building.
You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Okay.
Hello, Julie. How you doing? Thank you, Kev. What up, Jared?
Boy, this is strange, boy. Tell you what.
Breathe.
Right? With a V, not a TH, right?
Right.
With a V, breathe.
We live, baby, yeah. Oh, oops. There go Chaz.
Hey.
We live.
Pleasure to meet you, Chaz.
It's nice to meet you too. How's it going?
It's going all right, man. Just trying to follow the leader over here. You know,
Yes.
Deb's the leader. I just listen to her and do what she says.
Facts. I was gonna say, hey, same. She was like, you wanna come on? I was like, yeah, I do 2D.
Yeah, right. Rule number one: listen to people smarter than you, right?
Yes, always.
Always.
And surround yourself by people who are smarter than you.
That's right. That know more than
I
you.
just be
That's real.
having ideas and stuff. All right, just letting people hop on.
Yeah.
Let me see. How do you comment?
It should be on,
It's like
on
over the
on
side.
the right. Do you
Or,
see
yeah,
the
on the
chat
right.
where everybody commenting stuff on the right?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. I see that, and I see private chat. There's a sin there, and then so do you just put it in private chat?
Oh, comments. Do you see the
Live,
where it says comments?
Yep, I see that, but I don't see a space to put my cursor. You know.
I'm
Well,
not
people just gonna think I'm an asshole. They're like, he ain't saying that.
You're responding on camera, so it's okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, we have the main comments.
Yeah, true. But if somebody writes me something, I'd want to like Dre yada yada yada.
Oh yeah, facts.
Like, man, he didn't answer me back. It's cool.
I'm gonna highlight it on the screen so you'll be able to see it. I'm looking at it.
I apologize in advance to everybody if I don't respond to your comment in the comment section because I am new to this program and don't know how to use it.
I can't either. I do see what you're saying about I mean,
do you not see the
because
well, no, I mean,
like private chat has the area with your cursor.
There, but you can't type anything in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess
but we can address them probably maybe just as we on.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Maybe as they pop in.
On my iPad, I can't type anything in, so I see what you're saying.
I was on literally one of these a couple hours ago at my alma mater. They had a big Zoom alumni thing, and so I'm in conference live Zoom mode.
It's like everybody's learning how to talk remotely now, how to kick it remotely.
I'm trying to see how many people are on.
I worked with somebody who knows the founder of Zoom, and they are just they're trying so hard to just keep up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
sure.
they were. I mean, and it makes sense because like I'm sure they were not prepared for suddenly the whole world to be like, all right, let's use your service.
Right.
I know one thing that the Zoom cats are ready for, those quarterly reports. So they're gonna like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Extra money.
Right?
All right, we still letting viewers hop on, so we'll be doing introductions in a couple minutes for the people in the audience.
See, I'm ready to actually to get into it with Chaz because I want to know about his career, man. But I guess I'll have to wait. I got to be patient because this is about the viewers.
I want to know about everyone. Yeah.
Right?
I
got questions. You said what?
Be on Black Woman Animator soon.
There you go. That's right.
What up, Kevin? Kevin Palmer's a real one. He's always supporting. He's always just like, yeah. I feel like I'd be finding news like through him, like just sharing stuff. Like I'm like, oh, this guy.
Yeah, man, I've been seeing. Him and Deborah, they'll post regular on Facebook with stuff. Yeah.
I don't even know how Kevin be finding stuff.
Yeah, they be posting that info, man. It's good.
That insider info.
Inside on the inside, the back of the back.
Fly on the wall.
That's right. Fly on the wall and not in the soup.
So I guess we're gonna do like mini. You could just follow my lead on how to do the introductions because I'm just gonna do an introduction of what people can ask me about, and then maybe 20 minutes in we're gonna do it again just in case some more people hop on so they know the context of everything. But we're gonna get started. So hello everyone, it's the BlkWmnAnimator YouTube channel. I want to do a live Q&A just in case folks had any questions about animation, the animation industry, various people, blah, 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 blah. So for me, I'm a 3D artist, so you can ask me about 3D modeling, anything 3D. I've also worked in South Korea, so you can ask me about working at an animation company in South Korea, the international experience. I've worked for the state government, so if that's weird to you, you can ask me about that.
That's
and
definitely
then
weird.
I have a YouTube channel, so if you're an artist trying to start a YouTube channel, you can ask me about that. But those are the various topics that I can cover. Dre, you can go next.
What's up, y'all? Andre Rodriguez. You can call me Dre. You've been calling me Dre ever since I was a kid. I started. Let me see. I guess my first job was at PDI DreamWorks in the Bay Area, California. But I actually started my career in animation in the California penal system. I was in Tracy. I got sentenced to 5 years, and I went to San Quentin, then to Tracy State Prison, and they actually had a drafting class there with computers that had Softimage and 3D Studio Max and all this other crazy stuff, AutoCAD, and that's what actually sparked my interest in animation. Because before that, I didn't think anybody like myself could do something like this. So I learned about it there, and then after paroling, by happenstance, I ended up at the Art Institute, and then from the Art Institute, I got my first job at PI DreamWorks. I'm a 3D modeler. That's basically what I've been doing for my entire career. I have other interests in other departments and other disciplines, but right now that's my main focus. I'm currently at Blue Sky Studios in Connecticut, and the last film that we worked on was Spies in Disguise. And yeah, ask me anything you want. You know what I mean? I'm an open book. I don't shy away from the talking and the getting down to the nitty gritty. So feel free to ask whatever.
So what state are you in?
I'm in New York currently.
Cool. Chaz.
Hey everybody, I'm Chaz Bottoms. Yes, that's my real last name. And I'm based in LA, and I work as a animation director, freelance, but I also have my own animation company, CBA Studios, and we're a purely remote-based animation company, and we do a lot of music video work and narrative content online, and just branded content, kind of under an umbrella, but created in mind to give underrepresented voices and people of color the opportunity to work on kind of bigger projects and, help beef up their portfolios and their reels. And so I'm in the 2D space. I basically am someone who can take you through the entire 2D pipeline. So if you have any just like questions about, I guess, like freelancing or just like independent animation scene, just kind of like alternative routes, just something that is unique to, I guess, like the animation industry. I think that's kind of the coolest thing to me just about having everyone up here is like we all are in the same industry but do vastly different things from one another, but we still are all talking the same language. It's super dope.
So
trying to stay young as long as possible.
So if anybody in the audience has a question, if it's a general question, just type it in. If it's a question for a particular person, try to put their name before it or whatever. But start asking questions if you have any questions, please. Or we'll just chop it up.
I have a question for the both of you, because I'm not new to 3D, but it's definitely like not what I do. So I guess like how did you first? I guess what part of like what do you model, or what do you actually do in 3D versus like characters or locations, and then just kind of like how you got into that. I guess I'm always interested just to know.
Dre, go first.
So I'm basically an environments modeler. So 3D animated films are usually broken up into characters and environments, and sometimes you can have a little, you can mix it up a little bit. So I'm in charge of modeling the sets, anything that the characters are going to use, cars, silverware, chairs, tables, any of that stuff. And but sometimes when it's really cool is when environment and character mix, they kind of blend together. So on Spies in Disguise, I modeled the drone that you see flying around in the movie. It's all over the place. And that was originally supposed to be just like a drone that was in a couple of scenes, and that's it. And then when I came up with how this thing was supposed to move and articulate or whatever, and the director seen it, it kind of bled over in the character mode a little bit, in the area of character. So it went from being just a regular prop to this weird character that took on a life of its own. But yeah, I basically do everything that you see outside of characters. That's what I'm in charge of modeling.
Nice.
Cool. And for me, when I worked in Korea at BlkWmnAnimator, I did mostly props, backgrounds, and vehicles. One of my coworkers did Stewie from Family Guy because they had to do a little wraparound shot.
Good looking now, Izzy. Sorry. somebody said, Dre, that's my partner Israel right there. Go ahead.
But yeah, like I didn't get working over there. I didn't get to do characters that much because we were mostly background people trying to trick you into thinking it was 2D. And then so I'm mostly hard surface modeling. So that's all, everything with a hard surface. But I'm trying to get into more character stuff. So I'm trying to learn sculpting and all that type stuff. But I've done characters in the past, but I need to just beef up all my stuff. So one question. So sorry, my name is Deborah Anderson. I guess I didn't say my real name in my introduction. And I just moved to Los Angeles, California from New Orleans. I'm originally from Detroit, but I just moved to Los Angeles in February, a month before the pandemic. So I'm still job searching. Yay. Dre is an amazing artist.
Yeah, boy, Israel. we went to school together.
Cool.
Yeah. He got skills too.
Nice.
He got skills too. Yeah. I actually got a question for Chaz.
Yeah. So
I did a little bit of 2D in college, of course, right? Because we hit every facet, right? Mm-hmm. 2D is hard, man. Okay, I'm gonna say that first. So everybody that's listening right now, 2D is some other stuff. Okay, So my question
yesterday
is,
me and Dre was talking. I was like, all animation is tedious. It just depends on the tediousness you want to deal with.
yeah, your
Right.
type of tedium, right? What's your tedium? So my question is, what are your daily practices that keep your hand fresh? Like, what do
Yeah,
you do day to day?
that's a big thing. Yeah, because I mean, I've had friends who are like, 30 with like carpal tunnel and like stuff like that. And it's just like,
Right.
it's a lot. I mean, I feel like it's the same with 3D. Just anytime your like hand is in a position for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely do like stretches, like wrist, like mobility, wrist stuff, and then I take frequent breaks. I would say I probably take like, it's like working for an hour and a half, and then a 15-minute break, and then just kind of cycling that throughout
Gotcha.
the day. But yeah, no, it definitely 2D is one of those fascinating things where it's actually taking a lot of the 3D tools and technology and implementing it into
Right.
trying to make, character rigs better. I do a mixture of like hand drawn and also character puppet rig stuff in Toon Boom. That's like primarily
nice.
what I work in.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, some projects they want that like hand drawn 2D look, which is like it's expensive and it takes a long time to do, and typically is like you need a team of artists who can kind of tackle that. But if it's like a character rig or puppet stuff, I mean, there's that always helps just speeding up the process and not having to like redraw like every frame. And so a lot of the stuff that I do is like it's a cool mixture of both, where it's like the stuff is always like hand drawn at the end of the day, but it's been cool to just expand and like now it's almost like where I'm just designing and building a rig and then sending it off to animators, and it's kind of a cool back and forth. And sometimes they'll not use the rig because they don't feel quite comfortable using it yet. I'm going for like a straight 2D aesthetic, but yeah, I mean, I try to take breaks and be mindful of not overworking like on weekends and like late into the night. And
that's a tough thing too, man. When you get, because when you catch it, when you're on fire, you
just want
a whole day can go by and you don't even realize it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And that happens often where I'm like, I'll like look at the clock and it'll be like, oh, 8:30. All right, cool. And then I'll look again and it'll be like 3:30 a.m. And I'm like, how, where did the time go?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Especially in this pandemic where I don't
time's not real right now.
Yeah. So
no, it's not at all.
I try to keep a schedule. It's not working. But then my body will be like 3 a.m. Now let's get to work. I'm like, why can't I do this at 12 noon?
Yeah. You know what? For us and for everybody listening, Fang's You, ZHU. He has videos on YouTube, and he has a video about that, about how do you get past not being able to work unless you're inspired. And so if you go and look at his videos, I'll send it to you. Yeah, because he talks about we're all basically working artists, right?
Yeah.
Which is another way of saying professional. It just means you get paid for what you do. So we're all working artists, and he says a lot of times, as artists, we want to feel before we execute. He says so that's something that a lot of people have to get over, and he definitely has a good video,
especially when it's your job.
Yeah, and he talks through how to kind of, even when you're not inspired and you don't feel, you don't have the creative juices flowing, what are the things that you can do to kind of stay on the grind? I'll definitely send it to you. Yeah.
Cool.
And then you can send it to all your peoples. So
yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
504 in the building.
Nolans.
And so, question: how do you all feel about being a generalist versus a specialist?
You want to take that, Chaz, or who wants to go first?
Yeah, I can. I'll kick it off. I think it's important to not necessarily know how to do everything in the pipeline, but you should have an idea of how the pipeline works. Like I think you should definitely understand an overall general perspective of where does it start, how it goes through the entire production, and then basically like your role and how you fit in. I think like in the industry we work in, they oftentimes are looking for specialists, like people who can do one thing really well. At least the bigger animation studios. In my experience, the smaller ones is where you're going to be wearing like more hats. Like you might be doing some storyboarding in addition to animating, or some like rough sketches or designing of the environment before you go out and model it. So I think it's important to, kind of figure out like what umbrella or what part of the pipeline you might want to be in. Like, is it characters? Is it environments? Is it more story? Is it post-production, editing? That's like a big thing that people oftentimes don't even think that's like a thing in animation. But, and then I think maybe then choosing that one thing that you're like, all right, well, this is like what I want to do, but, also not being scared of learning new skills. But yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Dre?
I think, yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what Chaz said. It does depend on the size of the company. If you're working at a smaller company, you're definitely going to be asked to wear more hats. Yeah, and the bigger companies want people that specialize. And but it is good to have an overall understanding of whatever company you're in, or whatever style of project you're on. So like for live action special effects versus feature animation, there's different criteria that go into those pipelines. And the more you understand how all those different departments fit together to build that pipeline, the better you can service the adjacent departments that need your work to then do their work. I've been specialized my entire career, but now I'm seeing that a lot of new people coming into the industry are basically hybrid artists. They'll have a specialty, and then they'll know the adjacent skills to their specialty. So for me as a modeler, I would know, say, rigging and texturing, and then for like an animator, they would know like lighting and camera and staging. So it just depends on where you go and how mobile you want to be, because I think a generalist can a lot of times move around a little bit more, bouncing from like animation to special effects to commercials and things like that. But they also have a hard time being a specialist, because they won't have like the speed and the dexterity of getting stuff out in one particular department. And it's vice versa when you talk about a person that specializes.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what everyone said. Mostly it's whatever you're passionate about. If you want to learn everything, then you can try to tackle everything, and because you got to be happy with what you're doing. But also just think about if you are in school, or if you're watching YouTube videos and you're passionate about one particular thing, kind of go full throttle into that. And what Chaz was saying about how the pipeline works, and Drake touched on that a little bit too. Like when you're say a 3D modeler and you're making characters, you have to be aware of other people's roles, because when somebody goes to rig, you got to make sure you have an elbow. That goes for 2D too, because I've seen some people complaining in some groups where they'll have an illustrator make a character, but they didn't make any joints, or they illustrated it all together, and so the animator has to go and take it apart. So that's why you have to know the next part of the pipeline, so you know how to do your job and not waste anybody's time, or like make them have any more work. And then another point is, if you want to be a generalist, but you are applying maybe for a specialist job, just make sure you have different demo reels to tailor to what you need to show to the people that are hiring you. So
that's a huge point. That's real. You definitely want to tailor to where you're applying to.
Okay, next question. Chaz, what do you use for puppet animation?
Toon Boom Harmony is kind of the center of, I think, a lot of, at least TV animation. It's kind of the center for puppet animation. So if you see a show like Rick and Morty or Big Mouth or The Simpsons, even like kids shows like SpongeBob, like that's all, well, that's not puppet, but like it's done kind of in the Harmony pipeline. And Toon Boom Harmony is dope because it's good for 2D and puppet animation. You can also do a little bit of like slight 3D stuff in there, nothing crazy, but like you can bring in 3D objects and like create a camera and actually animate in 3D space. There's like some composite stuff too, but what's interesting about Harmony is it's a node view. So it's it can be a little bit tricky in terms of just like, it's a different way of thinking. And as opposed to like layering, which a lot of people might be familiar with. There's also After Effects, which is pretty good for very simple, like taking an image and puppet pin tooling like a limb and then just start like moving it around and like keyframing. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the two major ones. I'm not sure like where Adobe Flash or Animate kind of sits in like the 2D community.
A friend of mine uses that Adobe Animate. Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's got some pretty good results from it. He's not doing anything professional. It's for his personal website, but the results are really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the second animation software that I learned after Harmony was Animate, and it's really good for. I know they do a lot of like powerful puppet stuff in there too. I've never done puppet stuff in Animate, just like straight 2D hand drawn, but yeah, I mean, I would recommend looking up. There's like for Toon Boom, there were just several tutorials that I just kind of watched and learned, and they have like some very complex rig tutorials where it's almost like a 3D, 2D like head turn, morph rig, and so yeah, I mean the tools are really complex, but like I said earlier, a lot of them are being pulled from 3D and trying to apply a lot of the work that 3D artists do and try to make 2D, I guess, quote unquote, bring it back.
Right.
So
it is kind of coming back.
Yeah.
2D look.
Do you know about any like free or low cost programs that people can use?
Yeah, so I'm always gonna throw out Blender. They're 3D, but now they have the grease pencil. So there's a whole 2D element to Blender where you can hand draw your characters and put them in a 3D kind of camera environment space. And that's all open source and it's free. And there's such a great community for that.
Blender's killing the game. Blender is doing big things. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. And I think I've never worked, but I've downloaded and played around with in OpenTunes. I think that's another 2D one that's just good, free if you want to download and play around in. If you like are limited to like just like a tablet, like an iPad, there's Procreate, which is more illustrative, but they have an animation feature now. And I'm like blanking out on the other one. BlkWmnAnimator, that's the other one. I think that might be free too, or maybe I think Procreate's like $10, and BlkWmnAnimator is maybe also 10, or it might be free. But
it's amazing how much free stuff is out there, man.
Yeah, no, literally.
It's
insane. It's
where
great.
was that stuff when I started?
I was just gonna say, like, yeah.
I had to be a pirate, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, that's how I got a lot of my early software was just cracked.
Yep, pretty much.
And something I always encourage for people watching, if you're still a student or whatever, learn the program that is easiest for you, and then have in your head the mindset that you can learn any other program. Because when you're learning 2D or 3D, you're learning the fundamentals and the skill sets, and you're not learning 3ds Max, you're not learning Maya, you're not learning Toon Boom, you're learning 2D animation, you're learning 3D animation. So always have in your mind that you can learn whatever program you're comfortable with, and then you can pivot and learn another program, because you're just learning the tools of a new program. So that's something I encourage people, because when I was working at TurboSquid, one of the they had like a checkmate advisory board, and one of the guys from Blizzard or something like that was saying a lot of students have trouble thinking I learned 3ds Max, but no, you're learning 3D. There's just some different buttons in Maya or some different buttons in Cinema 4D or whatever. So always have that in mind.
And another good point would be to when you're working with one piece of software, try to kind of jump into another piece of software every now and again, just to stay kind of fresh and not get so stagnant in one piece of software. Because I mainly use Maya for all of my work at Blue Sky, same at PDI. And when I jumped into like say ZBrush, it took a lot for me to kind of get over that learning curve, because I was just so used to the hotkeys and the interface of Maya. So if you can, try to work in different programs. Just to have fun and try new things.
Even
Yeah.
if you're not doing anything else, and if you sit down ZBrush for 2 minutes and go back, you're not gonna remember anything.
Yeah, definitely.
ZBrush is just a program like that.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, if you want to learn something, just take like 30 minutes to an hour a day just perusing around in a different piece of software if you want to learn it. You know what I mean? And that'll also allow you to just get comfortable with trying new software. It won't be such a daunting task when you try to open up something for the first time. It won't be like, I did ZBrush every, a few minutes, a day. I can switch over and do After Effects now, or I can switch over and do, Procreate, but definitely try to stay fresh. Take it from me. I'm having a hard time right now learning new stuff.
Yeah, those are all like super great points, and I feel like too, it's a lot. I'd like to think of software as like languages, so it's like learning that first language is really hard, but then once you learn one language, you kind of understand what you need, so you can learn that second language and that third language, and then but
a lot of times people will sit in that first,
right,
and that's when you get comfortable, and
it's like, no, we don't conjugate this way in this language. Like
exactly, exactly.
And I feel like that every time because I've done some like very basic stuff production wise in Maya and in like Blender, and it's always just like it very much feels like, oh yeah, let me open up this language book of this language that I used to know. Because
him just saying that is giving me heart palpitation when I hear new language, I'm over like, woo, it's a lot.
But yeah, I think it's good to find what it is you're comfortable in, but never
settle.
Never settle.
Cool. Next question: do any of you provide internship opportunities?
I know Blue Sky provides internships, but I believe you have to be in your last year of school, I think. So they don't do like individual internships where you can just come in and decide to apply for an internship and get it. But I help people if they need help. So you can definitely reach out to me if you want to learn about the industry, and if you have any any further questions about the industry or about 3D modeling, because that's the one thing I do know very well. So yeah, you can get at me.
My production company, we are just over a year old. We're about a year and a half old, so we're still in our infancy stages.
Happy birthday.
Chaz over here helping to build companies. That's what I'm talking about, goddamn.
I'm trying. But, that is something that we're looking into possibly bringing. This year would have been the year, but I think just with everything going on, a lot of stuff has been restructured, especially on my end, just, thinking kind of a couple years into the future and what my initial plans were. But that's definitely something like, if not, like it was going to be slated for the summer, but I think it just might have to wait until fall, maybe winter of this upcoming year. But that's something that, like Dre reached out to me. I'm always down to just help people. And that is something that's on CBA's radar, is providing internship opportunities. Remote.
Yeah, for me, I do offer mentorship to people. If you have any questions, even if I don't know the answer immediately, I'll figure it out. And so if you need any help, that's kind of the whole purpose of my BlkWmnAnimator platform, is to get more people into animation, answer any questions that they have. Because sometimes, depending on, in our industry, not everybody is about that life. So I'm trying to be out here for y'all to answer any question you have. You can ask me a million questions. I will not get tired of you. So I'm here. All right, next question. What are some of your favorite animated videos or films that inspire you?
I'm actually interested in Chaz's answer. I'm actually interested in what Chaz got to say, because he's still in the 2D world, so I want to see what he's talking about.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I think recently the thing that whenever I watch now. It's like, oh, I pick up on something new or am re-inspired. Definitely Spider-Verse. That's always the first that come to mind. I think that's the first animated movie that has come out in a minute that just kind of like broke me, but in like a good way. Where it's like
I feel like everybody agrees with you here.
you leave the theater, you're screaming like, "How they do that? You need to see this." You're just like,
Real talk.
going crazy. And then in terms of like other just 2D content, I really was a big fan of Childish Gambino's "Feels Like Summer" animated.
Hey
movie.
man, that was actually
that was
beautiful.
a moment. Yeah,
that was a beautiful project. The music as well as the animation. Yeah. See, that's why I was interested in what Chaz was gonna say, because I wouldn't have thought of a music video. See what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of innovative 2D stuff in the music video space right now. That it's a lot of crossover of like hand-drawn 2D animation with like motion graphics.
Yeah.
So it's like really finding that, and 3D also is in there too. It's just like those two, I think, like I look for stuff that speaks out to me, and I am always inspired by Black stories in animation. And so like Hair Love is another like insanely like close and kind of inspiring movie to me, not just from the visuals but just the story behind it, and just showing the what's possible when you really kind of just see something through and are kind of hell-bent on achieving something. And I've also one more was on the tip of my tongue. Oh, Craig of the Creek.
I need to get into that because I've seen a couple clips.
I haven't seen that.
Like,
wait a minute.
Craig of the Creek is dope.
Uncle Darnell.
Time to open my notes.
They're I mean it's like if you are looking for like a Black animated family in like the kid space or like young adult space, it's really good. It's one of those shows like a Steven Universe where you can just watch it. They're 11 minutes. It's pretty good, and they do a lot of stuff for the culture. And even though the show was created by two white dudes, most of the writing, the head writer and a lot of the storyboard artists are Black people and people of color. So it's a really unique show.
What I heard there is those white folks were smart enough to go get some brothers and sisters.
And they say
That's what I heard.
They say that all the time.
They should.
They say that all the time.
Damn right.
It's very true. I mean, it's like when you find out who created Doc McStuffins, and you're just like, oh, of course.
Yeah. It's funny. Into the Spider-Verse, I wasn't even interested in seeing it when it first, when I saw, the advertising for it and all that, saw the trailer, and so I was at work, and Mike Knapp, who was the production designer on Spies in Disguise, we were just talking about Into the Spider-Verse, and he said, "Yeah, man, when they got Peter Ramsey to direct," and I said, "Wait, they got Peter Ramsey?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I know what I'm going to get when I go to the theater." So I wasn't even surprised when I sat down in the chair. I was like, it's about to go down.
Like, what's up, danger?
You see what I'm saying? For real. And so when I said, but even though I sat down and I knew what I was gonna get, it still impressed me. It's that movie was incredible.
Before we go to Drake, I do want to ask Chaz, did you see Klaus?
I did, yes. Yeah. And
I feel like that was like a Into the Spider-Verse for 2D kind of.
Yeah,
like they just the texturing and lighting that they did on that was some new stuff for 2D.
And that's all Toon Boom too. They like worked closely with that studio to kind of develop a lot of those tools for the first time. Yeah, I mean, Klaus, before that came out, the proof of concept dropped like maybe a few years before, maybe like 2015 or 2014. And so I was excited about it back then, and just the idea that you can, just push the lighting. I mean, that stuff like, as opposed to just an animation fan, I'm also just a fan of like live action movies. Like I'm a movie guy and like TVs. So I always admire cinematography, and that's always been kind of my one critique about like 90s 2D animation is like it was kind of, they wouldn't really push the lighting in the movies the way I thought that they could. And so like if the biggest critique of 2D is that it's not 3D, you know, I was jazzed that they finally kind of created a pipeline that can kind of do that. And yeah, I mean, some of the shots are just like stunning. It's hard for me to even like look at some things and say, is this 3D? Is this 2D?
The whole movie, I just thought it was 3D,
Yeah.
and then when it was 2D, I was like, what?
Some of the props are 2D, but then there's some are 3D.
They did have they did have a lot of 3D in there. Yeah.
But the fact that it all kind of felt very cohesive, and I mean, I think one of my favorite Disney movies too is Treasure Planet, and they did a lot of kind of like really cool 2D, 3D implementation of like just the character rigs and the environments. That technology was there. I'm happy that Klaus was able to just kind of pick up from those early 2000s and say, let's get everyone up to speed now. And, you know, and I definitely see 2D animation like moving forward, embracing like lighting more and really thinking about colors. And, you know, I think the thing that I've seen just generally is people want to turn those those visual development paintings into like the final film frames. So creating the technology that can like get that painterly look or that lighting or that certain shading silhouette, like we're getting good at that.
I went through hell trying to get that kind of look for Peanuts.
Yes,
and for modeling, it was insane. Getting that squiggly line kind of thing.
Did you work on Peanuts?
Yeah, I worked on Peanuts, and it kicked my ass.
I love that movie, and I love it because of kind of the aesthetic. But I watched a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and just saw how like they had to turn the models and turn off like
the eyes would slide on the head. Yeah, but the modeling, doing all of the environments was. Even though you know you got the painter look at the end, the model still had to have that hand drawn look, you know, that Schultz was able to do, you know, with his pencil, and that was hard to like feed into the models.
Also, too, I feel like for the Peanuts more so, it's like you only see the characters from like side, and like there's very specific angles you see the characters from only.
Yeah.
And the movie did a really good job, I feel, of like not doing like too much of the like we're gonna do 360 camera move. They did like a lot of the action stuff. I was really like was really dope, like with Snoopy and Red Baron.
Yeah, they did a really good job. When I first interviewed at Blue Sky, and they asked after the interview was over, they said, you know, do you have any questions for us? My first question was, why the hell? Who was crazy enough to decide to try to take Peanuts and make it a 3D film? Who did that, you know? And they actually liked that question because they said that's why we decided to do it.
Right.
Because we didn't think that, you know, we didn't have an answer ready, you know. It was like all this experimentation and new discovery and stuff. So it was fun to work on them.
Yeah. Dope.
I think for my films, I'm gonna start with like the Ray Harryhausen works from back in the day, like Jason and the Argonauts. Seven Voyages of Sinbad. I don't know if a lot of you know about Ray Harryhausen, but go look up his work. It's like stop motion animation up here. And this is back in the day. This is, you know, 40, 50 years ago. And this stuff looks absolutely incredible. It's live action and stop motion blended together. That stuff is like kind of what I used to want. I wanted to be a makeup and special effects, practical special effects person back in the day when I was a kid. Loved horror movies and fantasy movies and all that. So like a lot of stop motion animation always, you know, kind of, you know, it's still like a bunch of mysticism to me, and it's really cool. Let me see, what else have I seen? Always The Secret of Nim. That's my favorite animation period. 2D, 3D, doesn't matter. Secret of Nim, Don Bluth, genius. That movie's amazing.
Independent.
He left Disney and did that.
And he took a lot of the animators with him.
He did. He did that. It was, and that's still my favorite animation to this day. And I like Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix. Love, Death, and Robots is kind of like it's showing the possibilities of what animation can be. It doesn't always have to be for exclusively for kids or whatever. Right. You can have really sophisticated, rich, textured stories that have a lot of weight to it and put it in animation form. So Love, Death, and Robots, definitely. I like that. I've watched that numerous times. What else is out there that I've seen?
I want to add two real quickly.
Go ahead.
Before it's over. Akira and most of the Studio Ghibli movies, just for me.
I knew Chaz was gonna give me some homework. Damn it! Put this down. Get this in the notes.
Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke. Those are probably my two favorite Miyazaki movies.
Yeah, Miyazaki's. If we're gonna go Miyazaki, we can go Aeon Flux.
Yeah, and
I don't even know if you can find those.
Right. I was gonna say the Lupin the Third movie, The Castle of Cagliostro. It was like one of Hayao Miyazaki's first like feature directing jobs. I'm a big Lupin the Third fan too, so like that was that's one of my favorites.
You said Lupin the Third?
Yeah. Castle of Cagliostro. I think it's on Netflix.
Dre ain't about to be getting no sleep.
Real talk.
Oh, it's great. The opening of that movie is like one of the coolest like car chases I've seen like animated. Like that opening scene is.
We can throw Bao in there. BAOH. I love that animation, and I don't know. That might be hard to find. Hard to find. But Bao was the animation and that the action shots were incredible.
Oh, not the short that came out.
No, Bao was full feature. It was like I think 90 minutes. Yeah,
gotcha.
It's incredible. Yeah, that's like old anime.
Yeah, look at me.
But when it was up here, that's when anime was up here. You know, not like the quick cuts and the background movement to kind of simulate movement. No, this stuff was like Bao is like Aeon Flux, that level, but an hour and a half of it.
Nice.
Yeah, straight. It's really really good animation.
Yeah, so because we were talking about, I think Chaz was talking about, or no, Dre was saying not animation not only being for kids. So you know, a lot of foreign companies are doing a lot of. They already have a culture of animation is just a medium. It's not a kid thing. And so I just found this. I think Cartoon Brew posted this on their Facebook page. But for all the adults in the crowd, look up the trailer for "You Son of a B Word." It's not the word, but I'm not gonna say it on here. It's a Filipino movie that's gonna come out, and
that's animation.
The trailer, yeah, it's 2D animation, I think. But it's a adult romantic comedy. But the trailer is hilarious. So everybody check that out. Well, yeah, my favorite animated film, definitely Into the Spider-Verse, because what everybody was saying earlier, like I felt like. Because I've been so upset with the animation industry, I feel like Into the Spider-Verse was like, this is what we could be doing. It went far with the animation. The writing was the biggest piece because these companies now they do a lot with the aesthetic of the characters and the backgrounds, but they don't write a good story. So I felt like
real talk.
Into the Spider-Verse was just a well-rounded, great story, and then the way they put all of the different Spider-Mans together, like seamlessly. You just how they did the movie, they took time with it. They had to take time to do all that stuff seamlessly. Like
I can actually attest to that too, because they had two of the head animators came to Blue Sky, and we're talking about when they would have like full sequences done, and Ramsey would say, "This isn't right," and then the writers. I keep forgetting their names, man. They wrote TMNT. Or no, they wrote the Lego movie. Sorry, they wrote the Lego movie.
Lord and Miller.
There we go.
Yeah.
So when Ramsey says something wasn't right, Lord and Miller, they would say, "We got to do it again." And I mean, Sony was pissed. They're like, "We got to do this over again." It's like it's done. It's like, no, it ain't. It isn't right.
Right.
So what Deborah's saying is definitely correct. When you put the story first, that's what you get, man. Cultural authenticity is where it's at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're having that discussion right now. Blue Sky. Lord have mercy. Whole bunch of culturally clueless pasty motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Andre, be good.
Sorry.
LaRonda, we're gonna answer your question at the end. Just gonna put up a couple comments. I probably should have been putting these up in real time, but
that Lupin the Third card is dope.
Yeah. Next question. I'm taking animation bootcamp classes here. Any advice you can give to the people, especially Black, that want to break into the MoGraph industry? For the MoGraph industry, I could try to reach out to my friend Ryan and put you in contact with him because he's a MoGraph person. Yeah, just your whatever. Just Demeril, for any type of animation, Demeril is key. Trying to show what you can do, maybe even creating your own projects. But I can definitely put you in contact with Ryan. Just hit me up on any BlkWmnAnimator, and we're gonna be giving our stuff later. But just hit me up on BlkWmnAnimator, and then I can put you in touch with Ryan. Does anybody else know about MoGraph?
I think, I just to piggyback off of what you said, Deborah. I think motion graphics. Find out if you want to be more in the commercial space or music video space, lyric videos. There's kind of all these different subgenres of motion graphics. I mean, you'll be able to kind of bounce around to various projects, just given the skill set. But I think, like you said, Deb, it's good to know what it is that you want to do, because it could be boring working on. Some people find lyric videos super boring to work on. Some people love it. It just kind of depends on where the content that you're working on. It always helps if you are drawn to it naturally, and it's a little bit easier to work on.
I think Chaz basically said what I was thinking, and that is, work on anything that you can actually get your hands on. Try to work with people that are on the same level as you right now, because they're the ones that are going to be accessible to you. So if you have to, just to get your name out there, put your stuff out there and say, hey, I'm trying to look for some work so I can get better at what I do, and at the same time, you're going to be getting a good product, at a good rate, before you can, because it all starts at ground level and you slowly work your way up. So the more work that you can get for your work to get out there and for people to see your work, the better.
Yes.
So to go on a tangent, because you mentioned working with people on your level, I do want to, for all the, I was talking to my sister yesterday, and there's some older people that don't grasp this concept, but for all the young people out there, when you're networking with people, make sure you understand the importance of the people who are on your level, because you never know where someone will be in 5 or 10 years. Because something in the first month of moving to LA and trying to network, something I noticed with a lot of young people who are students or just trying to break into the industry is that I'll be talking to them, and then it's like, oh, if you need a writer, if you need an animator, if you need this person for your project, hit me up or something like that. But something you guys need to understand is that you need to build relationships with people. And so it's not always about going to a networking event to hand out your business card or to get something from somebody. Like a lot of these, because I've been watching, we don't have nothing else to do, so I've been watching a lot of Instagram live videos, a lot of live and all of these stuff. And I've been watching with Robert Townsend, and Keenan Ivory Wayans and Kev on Stage and Lil Rel and stuff like that. And a lot of them are putting on people who are their friends. And so that's the key to networking, is building a relationship with people, getting to know the person, not just going somewhere or reaching out to somebody and wanting something from them. What can you offer them in just friendship? So because we're always trying to, in working with people on your level, we're always trying to go to the people up there. And, particularly with a Robert Townsend, you're not going to be able to reach him. And so something that I had to, I understand this concept, but I also have to reprogram my brain for my BlkWmnAnimator channel. This is why I put Andre and Chaz on my channel, because the people that you might not know need to be highlighted too. And so my peers need to be highlighted, and that's how we can all build. And so stop trying to reach up so much. You do need to reach up to try to, if you need to go get in contact with a Bruce Smith or Everett Downing or something like that, but reach to the side and reach below, because you never know where somebody will be in 10 years. And if you treated them with respect, they'll remember that.
I like to say also, have the attitude of being of service. You know, so no matter what project you're on, it could be a project that's indie film, or it could be a small music video of a local band, or you might land something that's huge. All those projects, you should be the same person in every situation, because what that's going to do, anytime somebody speaks about you, everybody's going to be saying the same thing, and that's going to give you a consistent reputation,
Right.
and that's gonna go further than anything else, really. When somebody knows, hey, when we hire Andre, we know we're gonna get this dude that's ready to bleed for the project, not because of how prestigious the project is, but because that's who I am. All day, 24/7. When I wake up and I go to work, that's what you're gonna get. I don't have to like the project. What's gonna happen is they're gonna say, no matter what, Dre's gonna get in the trenches with you, no matter the project, no matter the situation. If you have that kind of reputation, you'll be good to go, and you'll find the right people that you need to be around.
And something that me and Dre were talking about the other day is that if somebody for some reason does end up not liking you for whatever reason, and they try to talk bad about you, if you have a good reputation, some people be like,
I've already had that. I've already dealt with that. And it's like,
you don't
you
want to
can't
be out here like Ellen, where she was a Twitter trend a couple weeks ago where everybody was telling their bad stories about Ellen, because on the surface you think she's awesome, but otherwise you'd be like, everybody's like, oh, I have a story. So
exactly.
you don't want that I have a story later in life where you ticked everybody off, and now they feel comfortable bashing you on Twitter one day.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, if you have enough consistent connections and people that actually respect you and they know your real character and you're a stand-up person, that's going to go way further than just having some skills.
It's all great stuff. Yeah.
Cool. Rhonda asked, what do you guys think of Hair Love? Because I think Chaz was talking about that earlier, so if y'all want to expound.
It's dope. So, fun fact about me, Matthew Cherry's actually been like mentoring me for the last like year and a half.
Nice.
So it's been great. Like, we've interacted on like Twitter back in like 2016, I think is when he actually launched the Kickstarter.
I reached out to him because it was originally supposed to be 3D. I was like, ooh, me! But then he changed it to 2D.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't know it was supposed to be 3D.
Yeah, they couldn't do it because of the cost of hair. That was their decision to switch it to 3D.
Makes sense.
And so, just as someone like close to kind of that whole production, I think it's a great wake up call for the animation industry, and just in terms of like how original stories make it kind of from an idea to being shown in front of a movie and winning an Oscar. And like they're not done with Hair Love by far. There's more stuff coming. So it's been really cool to just like see that process and really kind of get the animation industry to kind of catch up to the film industry, because I feel like they kind of get it. It's also just quicker to make like a live action TV series or movie. But
there is a movie kind of like Hair Love.
Awkward Black Girl.
Yeah.
And Napoli Ever After.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's dope. Hopefully we see more. I'm hopeful in the mind that we see more animation kind of like that, moving forward, where it's not traditional, like, oh, this guy worked on this show for 10 years, so now we're going to give him a show. Like it kind of breaks that mold a bit, which I think is always good. Yeah, no, and I mean, and Dre alluded to it a little bit earlier, but it's like Matthew's super down and knows what's hip right now in the culture. Like he's very in of that, and it's authentic and it's genuine. And so a lot of execs, they know that it's important right now. People want to feel that connection, that genuine authenticness. And I think that's the strongest thing about Hair Love, is it's so authentic and it's so genuine, but it's such a simple story that it's like, boom, it was. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
I have not. I'm about to get drugged in here by the fans, by the listeners, but I haven't seen the whole thing. I haven't seen the whole Hair Love. I've seen because when I saw some of it, I just went immediately to learn about Matthew.
Yeah.
I started reading up on him and listening to like how this was received and what was going on in the talks. So it was kind of because the short Hair Love, this is something that's not new to us, right? So for us, it's not a huge thing. It's a huge thing on how it's kind of making its way over into white America, which for me, I really don't care about what white America thinks about our stuff, whatever. But what I got interested in was how, like, what made that bridge happen. You know what I mean? And I think that stuff like that is important on the side of it shows us we can make what we want to make and not have to worry about what white America thinks or what some people call the mainstream. I say the white stream because we have our own mainstream, right? We don't listen to the Beatles, we listen to the Temptations. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that Twitter thread of who's the most black famous person? Did you see that? Like who's somebody everybody knows in the black community, but they don't know them in the white community. So not somebody crossover like a Denzel, but like everybody in the black community knows this actor, but like practically nobody in the white community knows.
Yeah.
That's
that's a tough one.
They came up with a list. I can't remember. I need to find it.
Yeah, I say Wesley Snipes, but I mean Wesley Snipes kind of white America forgot about Wesley Snipes, so that's a legit one, right? Because once he went to the pen for tax evasion, which white folks do all the time and don't go to the pen for. Once that happened, white America forgot about him. So I would say Wesley Snipes because they'll be like, Wesley who? You know what I mean? Pretending like they don't know who he is. Like he wasn't in Passenger 57, right? Always bet on black, right? So, but yeah, I think Hair Love was the thing for me was it showed us that we could do what we want to do with our culture, and we can still make waves across all different streams.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that too, I think it also just shows that like stories are stories. Like there's relatability no matter kind of what you're like. I feel like the thing that kind of did help Hair Love crossover was a child needing help from their parent to do something and the parent has no idea how to do it. And you want to please your kid and you want them to, do that. I think like that's something that's kind of a universal theme, or like being a kid and wanting your parent to help you do something and they're not really good at it. Like, and kind of what
I think all these truths and all these things are universal: loss, love, right? Insecurities, feeling inadequate.
Friends.
It's the lens in which we view it,
right,
that makes it unique. And our lens is underutilized and taken for granted. You know what I mean? Yeah, because they'll try to take our lens, warp it, and say, okay, this is a black experience. It's like, nah, it's not, man. It's watered down. You're missing a few things. And it's like gumbo. You can't just take something out and still call it gumbo. If you ain't got the filet, it ain't gumbo. You know what I mean? So I think those universal truths are there, and those universal like storylines, but it's about the different lenses. Like you could take a film like let me think, what would be a good film? A good example would be like the Seinfeld show, right? Take the Seinfeld show and show it through a black lens, you'll get something totally different. Then show it through a Latino lens, you'll get something totally different, and that's what's lost on the white stream.
So here's somebody said this is the black famous animation, the PJs.
Yes.
Yeah, the PJs.
And so the black famous list, Frankie Beverly I think was number 1. Phyllis Hyman, Gerald Levert, Tina Marie, even though she's white.
Is Luther Vandross in there?
Luther Vandross was crossover. Come on now.
Crossover.
Luther Vandross?
Leon, who said Leon? LaRonda said Leon. Monique, Tom Joyner.
Monique,
I wonder why
she
people know about the
keeps it
calendar
1,000.
cruise. Yeah.
Monique
Stephanie
keeps it
Mills.
1,000.
Bobby Womack.
I always forget she had
Bobby
an Oscar.
Womack.
She won an Oscar.
Bumper
Isn't
Johnson.
that wild?
Do white people know who Bumper Johnson is? He was the dude from like I just saw. He was the dude from Different World. He just had an interview on. If you go to Strong Black Lead on Instagram, he just did a bunch of interviews. He was he on the Cosby Show? Because he was talking about all the films.
So many notes. What was that? Strong Black Lead?
Yeah, on Instagram they post a lot of interviews. They just posted an interview with Tyrese.
Hey Chaz, you were saying that Monique won an Oscar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think the thing with Monique is she was just talking too damn honest all the time. That's what happened with Monique. Yeah.
Yeah, and
she didn't play the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a fine line to yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. I've had a few run-ins with some things.
Stories.
Matter of fact, here I think the next question is gonna be about that.
Okay, so can you speak about your experience being a Black animator in the industry? I caught the side comments. I know about a couple of Andre stories. Some recent. Recent stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's start
Andre,
with Chaz.
would you like to start off? Okay.
No, I want to start with Chaz.
Oh yeah. Like, you know, my thing is, so I'm almost 3 full years out of graduating college. So I'm still like what I would consider like on the young side of things, or what people consider the young side of things. And so for me, like just going through freelancing and independent, oftentimes I'm looked at to be the end all be all of what is hot, what is currently like popular, what do people like, what's like
representative of Black people.
Yeah, I'm the leader of the Black delegation or something, you know, like but and so there it's always kind of like, you know, there might be those comments that, you know, it's not like it's like the purest definition of ignorance, where it's like you just don't they're just not, those people don't exist in the same world that I do, so it's bridging that gap between them, but also understanding that I always try to slide in like letting them know that, you know, Black people aren't a monolithic people at all. Like there's
multiple ways to be Black.
Yeah, I say
not to them.
So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, they might not pick up on, but it's cool in that like it feels like I have some not authority, but like that creative freedom to kind of say, well, no, this is actually, I think this is doper, and then I can like explain kind of why it's more often than not, it's because it's, you know, more in brand with what the artist is like, their brand, their identity. And, you know, just me, I was born and raised in Cleveland. I did all my college in Chicago, and now I'm in LA. So I've kind of bounced around just from different territories, and my family's from the South. So it's like, also have that like Southern bit in
Great migration.
Yeah, facts.
Right.
And, you know, I think it's just like being in that position is interesting. And I think, you know, as the industry opens up to be more inclusive, change is slow, always has been, probably always will be. But, you know, I think it's important to know that like a lot of these people, oftentimes you're going to probably be the only Black person in the room. Like it's rare when,
pretty much,
you know, like you might have one or two other people, but it's like more often than not, like you're going to be in the minority. And that's kind of unfortunately where the industry just currently is. But that shouldn't stop you from thinking that your ideas are any less valid or anything. You know, in fact,
if they invite you in the room, you're in the room for a reason. So
yeah, you're supposed to be there. Yeah. And so I literally learned mine is, you know, you can, at first I kind of looked at it from like they just want like the Black kid to tell them like what's cool. But, you know, I feel like they could, like there are other, I do know what's cool. Like that's the thing too, is that like, it's like, oh, well, I feel like I am kind of in the ground and in the trenches of just like what's going on just in like the Black community, the hip hop community, the music industry, the film industry. Like I like to know what's going on in those things and like talk about that. So, you know, that also is very much so like the skill I have. So I think it's, yeah, I mean, it's tricky. You know, I just try to be professional and, you know, try to also, you know, if you find a way to throw a little joke in there, you know, do it. But like at the same time, it's just, you know, a lot of people, they want to know, and then, you know, they don't know. We know we're minorities, so it's you got to sometimes explain the majority.
Definitely, I agree with a lot what Chaz said. Kev, I'm gonna get at that question in a second. So my experience has been, it's weird because I started in facilities at PDI. So I kind of worked my way up to an artist position. I didn't start in an art position where I was just siloed as soon as I got to a company, because usually when you start in an artist position, you sit down at your desk and you just go to work, and you kind of you're buried in your work, and you're focused on the project. So you kind of get blinders put on. So since I started in facilities, I took care of, you know, mail and moving desks and all that kind of stuff. So I got to know everybody at PDI in the Bay Area. Mind you, the Bay Area is like one of the places where acceptance is a thing. You just accept people for who they are. Like everybody can be who they want to be in the Bay Area, and it's cool, especially like in San Francisco. So I've had mixed situations where I've had people, you know, going when I used to have long hair, and I'd go to work in cornrows. And people were like, "Man, the cornrows is hot. That's amazing." So there was no weirdness. But then there were situations where I was the only Black PA, and somebody tried to get me fired to take my job, trying to say that I was basically trying to make the story that I was incompetent. But of course, going back to characters important, people have already worked with me, so they're like, "We know Dre ain't incompetent. He's the shit. You ain't, you know, he's handling his business. What are you talking about?" So I've had actual, you know, people get at me in that way too. And now coming over here to Blue Sky, I find there's more of the racial disparities are at the surface over here on the East Coast than in the West Coast. I guess that's why they say West Coast is the best coast. But yeah, there is that. There's still, no matter where you go, no matter what industry you're in, we're always the minority, because when you look at the top of any company, it's always owned by, you know, white males. You know what I mean? So whoever's at the top, you know, attitude reflects leadership. So whoever's in that leadership role, that is going to filter down and become the atmosphere of, you know, whatever company you're in. So, but the one thing I don't worry about is how much they get us. Now that I came over to New York, started working at Blue Sky, I went to the Million Man March in 2015 in Washington, D.C. I came back transformed. You hear me? Straight Autobot shit. You know what I mean? I came back and was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with the whole having conversations and trying to make you see me. I ain't doing that. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep looking for more of us, so we can start doing our own thing. I'm currently working on a short with some folks, and you know, my main goal for the short is that people see what we can do without help from the big studios. Yeah. That's my main goal, because if I show enough people that, and show them that you don't need a lot of money, and you just need real tenacious people and people that have the stamina to get something done, then more of us can make our own products. We can sell to our own people, and we keep the profits, and we get our economic wheel going in this industry. So for me, all that stuff does exist, but you know, I'm kind of on the side of, you know, if you didn't understand what I was saying, maybe it wasn't for you. Give me 50 feet. That's me.
And not 6 feet, but 50.
So yeah, I need 50. I need 50 because I can cover 6 real quick. So I need about 50. I got that. I got reach.
So if you want to know, because I have 2 interviews with Andre on my channel, so he go deep into the blackness, and then I'm gonna have an interview with Chaz, so we're gonna get into some black stuff. So and then on my channel I have 2 videos where I talk about being a Black woman in the industry, so I'm gonna go high level. But one thing in working internationally, personally, it felt better to be an international token than a Black token, because they would come and, you know, different studios would come, whether they're American or French studios, and they would kind of show me off, but it didn't feel as sleazy as like if they were to do it in America, because there's not that history there. And then just being questioned, like working a job where they question your skill set, but why did you hire me though if you gonna question what I can do? Like I just don't get that dichotomy of, like, I obviously know what I'm doing because you hired me to do the job, but you keep questioning me or acting like I don't know what I'm doing when I haven't done anything wrong. And so that's something where like being a double minority of Black and a woman, I really don't be knowing why. I'm like, is it because of sexism or racism? I don't know, because I'm both. So I just be like, okay, this is what I got to deal with. And any other high level stuff, I don't know. But I do have 2 videos on my channel talking about like going in depth to stories that I've experienced, whether it's because of how young I look, Black woman, whatever. So, and then I still got I got a third video I need to come out with, because I had to leave somewhere before I come out with that video.
I will say this real quick. You will find some non-melanated folks that are really down with the business. They really want to ride for our community. But the only way you're going to find those people is if you take them into the deep end. So I always say, don't be a cheap date. You know what I mean? Don't allow cats to come into the community unless they paid the fare. You know what I'm saying? So you need to take them real.
Stop inviting everybody to the cookout.
You can't. Yeah. Well, my thing is invite them to a cookout, but make sure it's the blackest cookout that it could be. And if they ain't comfortable, right? If they're not comfortable with being, because the thing about us is we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable because we're in their world, right? They don't have to come to our world because they own everything, right? They own the banks, they own the schools, they own the government. So I want to know you're comfortable with being uncomfortable in my world. If you can do that, then we can have a conversation. I'll start explaining some things to you. I'll be the white boy whisperer for you. You know what I'm saying? But you got to earn that, man. We got to stop giving shit away for free. They got to earn that shit. And if they can't earn it, go back over there with your weird ass unseasoned potato salad. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to stay over here. But don't think you just going to skip your ass over here and everything's going to be cool. Nah. Because we got to go and like Chaz was saying, we sometimes the only person in the room. You know what I mean? Do y'all got to deal with that? You feel me? How about you come with me to my boy's party over here, you know, on the block? You feel me? And let's see how you fare then. You know, maybe if you trying to leave early because you uncomfortable, we ain't got the same goals, man. That's real.
So I know you covered this a little bit in the other, but even not having to do with race, do you notice any differences between the New York, California thing, Dre?
Yeah. So, well, first off, there's of course when it comes to feature animation, right? There's way more opportunity over in California because the only studio over here is Blue Sky. There's some smaller companies that do like commercials. I think there's a couple of special effects companies in the city, but as far as it being like a hub like LA, they just don't have the numbers. Now, the flip side of that is if you come and work at Blue Sky, since there's no real competition, right? You don't have to worry about the landscape getting too crazy. You could just kind of go to work and go home and just be cool. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit of a give and take. Of course, I have a bias. I'm born and raised in California, so I clearly got a bias. But I've had fun since I've been over here. You know what I mean? Like I said, I wouldn't have been able to go to the Million Man March had I not lived here in New York. You know, it was just a train ride. So, and one thing, and I've noticed that, you know, no knock to my folks out in California, because this kind of what I'm about to say speaks to how far more progressive California is in New York. But Black folks over here have more of a sense of self and are more proactive in engaging in that and using that to further the advancement of our community. That happens more over here, I think, than it does in California, because California you don't need to, because California's kind of moving faster in the roads to getting to a kumbaya state, you know. But so over here, I met a lot of folks that are really about that life, about, you know, being self-aware and aware of what our community needs. And like, I saw a block party when I first got out here. I just went walking throughout White Plains. I'm just walking, chilling, and I saw a bunch of Black folks just congregating, music loud as hell, in a neighborhood with 2-story big ass houses. And I said, what is this? I walked up over there, right? And I said, what is y'all doing? Right? They said, we having a block party. I said, the police ain't breaking y'all up. They said, you see the barricades, the police are the ones that are protecting us from not getting broke up. I said, huh? What?
That like double take Hanna-Barbera sound effect.
I'm like, yeah, if it was in the hood, I would have thought it was normal. But they were in a nice neighborhood with big ass houses. And they were like, no, the police, we put in our permit, they signed it, so we having this big ass block party. They bumping, they had Nas, they had Pat Poose, they was bumping Pat. I'm like, wow, it's different over here. Because you can't do that over my small ass town. You go to a nice neighborhood, have a block party, your ass is getting pepper spray shot, beat up, arrested. Well, you'll get arrested if you survive. But yeah, it don't happen like that from where I come from. So and when I got there, they were just instantly giving me, you know, flyers about stuff, and they were talking to me about the history of this and the history of that. It was just, they just got into it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is different. Yeah. So as far as the work, I always say where I go, I make it a party. So the party comes with me. I'm gonna have a good time wherever I go. But I think I'm gonna have to lean towards California, because that's you know, Cam, that's where I'm from, man.
Yeah. With the projects that you have done are you comfortable with your life financially? In other words, would you describe yourself as a starving artist?
Who wants to take this first? Chad, you want to go first, or me?
Yeah,
or?
I can. So I mean, like, it's funny because I had an interesting like conversation with a homeboy of mine about like what starving artist like actually means. Does it mean more financially, or does it mean like that like craving to create work that, you know, you're not seeing, or that inner desire to create work, and it's hard, you know. For like
BlkWmnAnimator topic.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the starving artist could be a metaphor for, you know, starvation in multiple different ways.
Absolutely, that's real.
Yeah, you know, I think from a financial standpoint, animation's actually in a like a boom, in a really big boom right now, I would say, in terms of just content, just with all the streaming, with video games, with apps, with music videos, commercials, everything's kind of blown up with content. So I mean, I wouldn't describe myself as a starving artist. Probably as of really when I opened up my business, that was kind of the signifying point where it's like, all right, I'm making enough to at least get productions in, like when they come to go out and hire other artists and to start budgeting in. You know, this is what it's actually. This is like basically going from that like independent freelancer life to more like studio budget kind of like vibe. So making that crossover, I think helped, you know, just kind of fill that starvation, but also just in terms of like the projects that I was working on, you know, now it's at a point now where I can kind of be selective with what it is that I want to do. And what the direction of the studio that we want to go. So
we gonna take a pause for that humble brag right there. He says I'm at a level that I can do what I want to do. I'm gonna salute that right there.
Yeah, it's dope. It's a good position to be in, but I did pay my dues, especially just moving out here. Like I didn't have a whole lot like saved up. I've always had to work and hustle. I mean that there were times where I was like just barely making it. But I think if you love what you do and love animation, it doesn't feel like I work. Honestly, like it literally feels like I wake up every day and do what needs to be done to make
Especially
cartoons.
if you can do what you want to do.
Real talk. That's real. I dig that. I am not at Chaz's level yet, so let me just put that out there. I think what Chaz said about if you do what you love, if you're doing what you love to do, that's definitely something you should consider for any career, that anything you're trying to get into. Right now, I'm definitely not starving financially, but I am starving creatively. So, like what Chaz was saying about how you look at it is very important. When I started out in the industry and I was in facilities, I was definitely starving financially. But since I was delivering mail to all the different departments, I was learning so much about so many different departments and so many different skill sets and disciplines. It was like this. I was starving financially, but just there was this. It was like the never ending well. I was just able to get all this information and meet all these cool people. So I think that I think the term starving artist should be carefully examined if you're gonna use that term to describe what you're doing. So basically, if I look at it now that I'm working on a short, that short is giving me the creative like sustenance I need, and then my 9 to 5, is taking care of the bills. So you kind of got to get creative on how when you get into your career, on how you're gonna make sure you feed your soul and feed your creative spirit, and at the same time feed your belly too. So it definitely I'm definitely not. I was starving in different ways at different times, but I think now I'm all right.
Facts.
Yeah, this is going to be the last question. We probably could do this live stream again. And if you guys have any more questions, just inbox me or whatever. So for me, since my particular animation career, not like graduating college, because my first real job was in Korea. I like a year after I graduated from college. I had like a paid internship when I first moved to New Orleans after college, but it wasn't a salary job. But so far in my career, I've had pretty decent salaries. And because in Korea, my salary was like $28,000 a year. But in Korea, that I could send half my paycheck home and still I ate out every day because working at an animation studio 12 hours a day, like I had to eat out because groceries, I don't have time to cook. I get home at 10 p.m. and then I wake up and go to work at 10 to be at work at 10 a.m. So that was the cost of living is low in Korea, so I could do that. And then I made a really decent salary when I worked at for the state. So I haven't really been too starving. I feel like you have to properly prepare yourself. You have to acknowledge wherever you're living is the industry viable. That's kind of why I left Louisiana, because I couldn't move. I couldn't get a new job, so I had to stay at a job that I didn't really like. And so just acknowledge, where do you live? Is there an animation industry? Are you able to move where there are more opportunities where you could make a decent salary? So I feel like in the animation industry, the starving artists, there are some companies that pay you low, but it's all about the decisions you make, how much you spend, and not living above your means and stuff like that. But with me moving to Los Angeles a month before the pandemic and not moving here with a job, I am in a position where this is not the best thing for me, but I'm not starving. I still got some food and stuff, but it's just my job search was kind of picking up as we had to stay home. So a lot of the recruiters I was talking to are like, well, we got your name, but we have to wait till this is over to kind of move forward, because some opportunities are like they still have to build the buildings. And so so I feel like the starving artists, that's why I want to have that's why I want to do stuff like this, particularly for parents, in support of their child, because a lot of parents think of the starving artist trope when they think of art. And so when you add the technology piece, there's more that you can do. There's higher salaries you can have. And so your child is not necessarily going to be poor. I mean, if you make bad decisions, yes. But you can't, it's possible to not be a starving artist.
I'm going to add something to that. So what Chaz was saying about, you know, him going out to LA and kind of like blazing his own trail, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So you have,
and that's what Kevin Palmer's done too. Just
you know,
yeah,
you have that route, and then you have the route of like I'm just gonna get a job and then start, you know, putting in the hours and kind of grind it out. The thing that's consistent between both of those kind of ways of doing it is that if you're not willing to suffer for this thing that you're doing, get out. You know,
this isn't easy.
And that's any career. That's any career. Joe Rogan talks about I don't know if y'all follow Joe Rogan,
I do.
but he you know, one of his good friends was a fighter, and he had to have a heart-to-heart with the dude and said, "Man, I know you're not 110% in it. You need to leave now before you get hurt." It's one of those things where if you're not 110% in, then it's really not worth it. Like for me, art is who I am. Even if I wasn't working in the industry, I'd still be doing art in some capacity. I'd rather do that. Than go party and go to clubs and shit. I'd rather sit at home and do art. Mm-hmm. If you're not there, it's definitely not worth it. So you have to kind of make that decision for yourself first. And then once you make that decision, let the games begin, baby.
You have to also take that advice for your relationship too.
Yeah, that's just life. That's just life.
Yeah. Like if you ain't 110, just leave them to the side.
If you ain't in it to win it, nah, it ain't worth it. That's real.
Learn that early.
early. I learned late. Thank God I look young. You know what I'm saying? Because I learned that late. Me be hard headed shit.
Same. All right. So, what's the best way to connect with each of you?
You can email me directly, Andre Rodriguez, SR. So Andre Rodriguez Sr. That's right. I got a son. He out there in Cali. He out there in Cali chilling. He grown. So, yeah, Andre Rodriguez Sr.
Black don't crack.
Goddamn right. Look at me though, right? No filter, goddamn it. Yeah. Andre Rodriguez Sr. at Gmail. My website is dre3d.com. So you can email me through there if you want, but you can just email me directly at Andre Rodriguez Sr. At Gmail if you want. That's the best way to get in touch with me. If I don't respond right away, know that I got so much stuff in the emails and work and stuff. It's hard to, your stuff might get buried and I got to go in and look and all that, but I will get back to you. Definitely.
Yeah. Same. I mean, yeah, email is the best way. I'm also on Instagram, Chaz Draws. But yeah, chazbottoms@gmail.com. That's my email. It's also my website. So yeah, I mean, just if you look me up, you'll be able to find me and reach out. And a lot like Dre, like I might take a little bit long to get back to just because of where I'm at currently with things right now. But I mean, I love helping people. I love supporting our people specifically, especially in like the art and animation community. And so that's always just a little bit higher priority for me to respond back.
Hey, Chaz, say your website one more time. I want to make sure I get this right.
So it's Chaz Bottoms, ChazBottoms.com.
That's cool. That wasn't taken, huh?
Surprisingly.
That's what's up. You never know. I mean, we got 7 billion people on it. You never know. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Dre 3D was open.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I was like, really? I just my boy's website was his was an Eric 3D, and I was like, how the hell, really? And I said, Dre 3D can't be, and I did, and it popped up available. I said, wow, swiped the card. Yep, immediately. That's right. Stat.
So if anybody is new here, this is BlkWmnAnimator YouTube channel. What I try to do is tell people about animation and bring a lot of Black artists on so that you know about them. And then I also comment on race and gender in the animation industry. And anything else I can think of, like my video from a couple weeks ago was about mental health, being Black or white spaces. So I try to kind of go outside of the box and think of what other animation professionals are not talking about and thinking of, and try to provide that to you. The first video I did with Andre was Blackness in Animation. So that was 4 months ago. I can't do the math that quick, right? I'm good at math, but not right now. And then and then the second video I did with Andre is called Carving Out Our Space in the Animation Industry. Our being Black.
Yeah.
And
Real
so
talk. We tired of sharing.
I mean, I'm sure you can see in this video, but he was straight with no chaser, but he's even more like authentic in those 2 videos. So go check those out. Those are if you ain't ready for the real, then don't even click on the video. And then in the future, we're gonna be doing a video with Chaz, so we're gonna be diving deep into his story and stuff like that. And then so if you're interested in all this information, you can subscribe to my channel. And you can find me at BlkWmnAnimator everywhere. BlkWmnAnimator, all one word, on everything. Like, just type it in Google, and I got for everything. And BlkWmnAnimator.com.
I want to say something to I want to speak on behalf of Deborah over here. When we have people in the industry that take on the task of curating what we do, and they take on the task of bringing us all together, those are the people you want to make sure that you support. Absolutely. Because we need, they're kind of like the, when you look in the brain, we have the synapses and the neurons, right? And the synapses that are all connected. She's one of those hubs that are connecting all of us to where we can kind of maximize our talent and maximize our, our passion and maximize our skill sets. Those are the people that you want to make sure you tell everybody about, and make sure that those people are going and, visiting her stuff and watching her videos and making sure that we're supporting those kind of people, because they're like the glue. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a hermit. I like to sit in the house, do my artwork. I don't even like social media. That's real. But some of the but
thank you for doing this, Andre. I really appreciate it.
Deborah can attest to that. It took a long time for me to even do stuff like this. Another person I look up to taught me into doing stuff like this. But people like Deborah, we definitely got to hold them up and make sure that, where she sees that we're responding to what she's putting out there. Because if we don't, we're gonna lose that. And people like her are huge pillars in the community, and we got to keep those pillars nice and bright. We got to polish some things, you know what I'm saying? Make sure they're clean, make sure they're protected, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I just be having ideas. I talked to Andre a couple weeks ago, and I just went down my idea for like Black animation excellence, and he was like, you could be a producer. I was like, I don't know what the titles are.
Yeah.
I be having ideas.
Yeah, I was gonna say
every time we talk, you got something new. That's real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Like, I gotta stay ready, so I gotta get ready, just in case somebody's like, oh,
damn right.
Google Doc, yes. So I want to do this. That.
Damn right. And me, that's just not. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying, but me, I'll just get up and turn. I'll turn on I'll open up mine and start working.
and the importance of building relationships. I just sat down the other day. I was like, so I'm gonna get rich, and then we're gonna do this Blackness and animation thing. So let me do a Google sheet with my dream team. So like, even if I've never I went through my Facebook list, even if I've never I don't have a relationship with you yet. If you ain't pissed me off yet, then you on there. So build relationships, because I could be, if you build a relationship with me, I could be like, oh, let me put them on my list for when I become rich. We be doing this.
No doubt.
Thank you, So, and then my email address is Deborah@BlkWmnAnimator.com. So, you can find me. Just send a carrier picture. I'll respond. And I want to thank Dre. I want to thank Chaz for doing this. Maybe we can do this again at some point.
Absolutely.
And thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming to this. And so I know it's real. Comment and tell me how you feel. Subscribe to the deal and sign up for post notifications to show your zeal. And we will see you in the next video. Peace.
Holla.